Welcome. Today's lesson is on the sum of all the angles inside a polygon, regardless of the number of sides. So, to begin with, we've learned that a triangle here, we have this triangle here, all three interior angles add up to 180. And that's the smallest polygon you can get, the smallest sides, three sides. You can't have a two-sided polygon, doesn't work. So three sides is the smallest polygon you can have, and the three angles inside, regardless of what they are individually, all add up to 180. If you go to a quadrilateral, a four-sided, in other words, you increase just by one side, what you can do is you can cut that quadrilateral into two triangles. Each of those triangles has a sum angle measure of 180, and the two triangles together would mean that a quadrilateral has a sum of its interior angles of 360 degrees. If we increase to a five-sided, so remember this was a three-sided, this was a four-sided. If we increase to a five-sided polygon, regardless of its shape, we could cut it into three separate triangles where each triangle, again, has a interior sum angle measure of 180. So all three triangles, put together means we have a interior angle sum of, and I like to do it this way, 180 times 3, because there's three triangles. That's 0. 3 times 8 is 24. Puts a 2 up here. 3 times 1 is 3, plus 2 is 5. It's 540 degrees would be the sum of those three triangles, or of a five-sided polygon. If we went up to a six-sided, what I would do is I would go 4 times 180, because I can cut a six-sided into four triangles. It's always two less, because remember, the triangle that had three sides started out as 1. So then 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 8 is 32. Puts a 3 up here. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 3 is 7. So it's 720 degrees. And that can work regardless of the number of sides. So let's say I wanted you to tell me what was the sum of all the angles in let's do a hard one, a 18-sided polygon. Well, what I would do is if it's 18 sides or 18 vertices or 18 corners, it can form 16 triangles, because it's always two less than the number of sides. So I would take 180, because each of those triangles is going to add up to 180, and there's 16 triangles in a 18-sided polygon. Now I'm just grabbing a calculator here, and I don't mind you using a calculator. 180 times 16 would mean a 18-sided polygon would have a sum angle measure of 2,880 degrees. Would be the sum of all the interior angles. Now, in your lesson, you'll also be asked to find what the individual angles are if it's a regular polygon. Now, what I mean by a regular polygon is that that's a horrible, there we go. All the angles are equal in measure. So if it's a regular polygon, what you first do is you find out what's the sum of all the angles added together, and then you divide by how many angles there are. So let's look at this five-sided polygon here, right here. That's not a regular polygon, but if we were to make it a regular polygon, like the one in Washington, D.C., the Pentagon, a regular polygon, what I would first do is I would do this process here. I'd do 180 times 3 is 540. So I know all these five angles add up to 540. Then what I would do is I'd take the 540 and I would divide it by 5, because there's 5 sides. Now I'm just grabbing a calculator again. 540 divided by 5 means each angle individually is 108 degrees. And they'll get bigger and bigger the higher or more sides you have. So for instance, let's go back up to this 18-sided polygon. If this was a regular polygon, each individual angle, I forgot the U, regular, Anyway, each, if is a regular polygon, then I would take this angle sum that I got by multiplying 16 times 180, but then I'd divide it by 18 because there's 18 angles. So I'd divide this 2,880 by 18, and I would find out each individual angle measure was 160. So each of the individual angles in that 18-sided polygon would have an angle measure of 160. And if you took 160 and multiplied it by the 18 angles, you'd get 2,880, which is equivalent to having 16 triangles, each having a interior sum of 180. If you have any questions on that, please do bring them to class, and I will help you at that point.